Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a blue sweater and an ill-matching blue lip. It was not purposeful. I apologize. It looked like it would match, then I put the sweater on and I was like, ew, it doesn't match at all, but it's close. Okay? So anyway, the reason I'm wearing it is because I have my Rego merch out, which if you've seen the last couple of videos, you already know. But if you're interested in Rego merch and supporting the channel and supporting the animals and me, please check the links below. I have included it. You can get this in multiple colors. You can get it in multiple different, like, you know, sweaters, kids shirts, phone cases, mugs, whatever you want to get. So please check it out. I thank you in advance. I'm gonna try and keep this like chatty video short because I know people sometimes don't really like that. But I wanted to explain in detail why I separated Sam and Gilly, because a lot of people have asked, and also because I would like to talk about it. Sam and Gilly are actually housed in these two gecko bookshelves right now. This one is Gilly's, this one is Sam's. If you've been following my channel for a while, or even just like my Instagram, you'll know that since 2016, I've had two leopard geckos named Sam and Gilly. They are sisters, clutchmates. They've been together their whole lives, and they both have severe Enigma Syndrome. When I first got Sam and Gilly, they were in like really bad condition. Gilly was pale, she was super skinny, her bones were jutting out, she looked like she was gonna die. And then her sister Sam, who had a little bit more color and vitality, but she was still really skinny, they both had stuck shed. I was able to get all of Gilly's off, but not Sam's before her toe became necrotic, and unfortunately she lost a couple like half toes. All that is to say that within a few months period since I had gotten them back, and I think it was August of 2016, they were fine, and ever since then they've been really healthy. They haven't had any dips in their health, which typically when you see a dip in health for an Enigma, whether it be like stress from ovulation or weight loss or just like any sort of like ailment, it can heighten their symptoms, and fortunately I've been able to keep them healthy and keep them not laying eggs, which was like a fear of mine, and I've been able to keep them at a good steady like health, and they haven't had any issues with increase of symptoms or anything like that, which has been really great. And in fact, since getting them, their symptoms have decreased a little bit, or they've just become better at coping with them. They now shed pretty much entirely on their own. I usually have to help with one or two toes, but like for how they are, that's incredible, because in the past I used to have to remove like full tails worth of shed or like multiple legs. It used to be really bad is what I'm saying, and now it's not, and they eat regularly and poop regularly, and they're just doing really, really well. When I first got Sam and Gilly, I was told that when they were separated, they stopped eating, they stopped moving, and in general stopped thriving. And because I had gotten them in such horrible condition, I wasn't willing to separate them just to see if they could do okay separated, because I didn't want them to die. And then as time went on and they were doing well, I thought about, since they're not having any issues, then they don't need to be separated. And they've never fought, they've never given me any reason to think that they should be separated. But I came to the decision that it's riskier in the long run to have them both housed together than it was to just give it a trial period to separate them and see if they, you know, behaved okay. If they stopped eating and stopped thriving, I could just put them back together. I was very, very, very nervous to try this. It took me weeks after I made the decision to actually do it, because I was so worried, like, what if I separate them and their health declines and their behavior gets worse, and then when I put them back together it doesn't fix it. Like, I felt like I would be making a bad decision either way or a good decision either way, because they both had pros and cons that were equaled. If I separate them and things go bad, that's bad on me. If I separate them and things go good, then I've benefited their lives, and I've taken away the risk that they could ever fight in the future. If I don't separate them and they do fight eventually, then that's bad on me. And if I didn't separate them and they were fine for forever, then it'd be fine, it'd be good. But I wouldn't know without trying if they could thrive separately. And so that's what I did. I decided to try. And I actually want to thank Charisse, Mother Willow Rescue on Instagram, because she gave me like the words I needed to hear. Like, even if I was worried about it, I still had to try. So I did, and I separated them. And like, even just like now talking about it makes me like kind of emotional, because I was really, really worried that like it could go wrong, but it didn't. It went so perfectly. I separated them. They have their own enclosures. Like I said, this one is Gilly's, this one is Sam's. Sorry if my voice choking up. It went perfectly. As soon as they were separated, they didn't have an increase in symptoms. Bless you, Sam. That was my dog in the hallway. Now Jax is going to check on him. They didn't have an increase of symptoms. They didn't have a decrease in like their health. Their behavior didn't change. They kept eating. They kept pooping. Their sheds maintained the same. I can't describe the sensation of relief that I felt when everything went well. So, the reason I separated Sam and Gilly is just to avoid the issue that a lot of people who have Cohabbed geckos face years down the road. So they'll have two geckos that have lived together perfectly for years, right? And then one day, one gecko just attacks the other one, and I wasn't willing to risk that. And they've already been housed together for their whole lives, and they've been housed together with me since 2016, like I said, which is now 3 years they've been together without incident. But I can't guarantee that that won't ever happen. I had to weigh the risks against each other, and I just made the decision, like I said, to separate them. They're gonna stay separated. It originally was a trial period just to see how it would go, because obviously if it didn't go well, then they'd be re-cohabbed, and if things did go well, then they'd stay separated. And because things did go so extremely well, they are still separated, and they've been separated now for like over a month, and they're doing fine. Like, completely normal Enigma geckos. I say normal Enigma, there's not really any normal Enigma, but for Enigmas, for themselves, they're acting normally, behaving normally, eating normally, pooping normally, all that stuff. If this disappoints anyone, I'm sorry, but this is a decision that I had to make as a gecko mom, as a pet parent. Like, you just have to make the hard calls sometimes, and the hard call for me was to weigh the risks, you know, and I made the judgment call, and fortunately I made the right one, because they're doing great, and now there's never going to be a risk that one bites the other one, or that one worsens the other one's Enigma Syndrome, and so I don't have to worry about those things now. For anyone wondering, because I've gotten this question a lot, are they gonna miss each other? Am I gonna let them have like playtime with one another? No, they're geckos. They're not like rodents, they're not mammals, they're not birds. They're not social creatures by nature. Like, they're not gonna miss each other. They don't need to have playtime together. I feel like that would just be risky. Now they're getting used to being housed alone, and if I were to reintroduce them, they could attack each other. So no, I'm not gonna have playtime with them, or I don't think they miss each other. I think that what I've got going now is actually really fine, and I'm happy with that decision. I have a video that I posted a few years ago where I talked about cohabbing leopard geckos and why you shouldn't. And I also talked about Sam and Gilly in that video and why they were housed together. I also have a video of where Sam and Gilly are housed together. That's their reptile profile video. I've decided recently to redo my entire reptile profile series, so that video is going to be like axed, it's going to be privated. But I'm wondering what you guys think I should do with the Cohabbed leopard gecko video, because I'm wondering if I should just remake it and say, like, don't cohab leopard geckos. I was very clear in the video, even though I had Sam and Gilly housed together, that I'm not for cohabbing leopard geckos because I think it's dangerous. If you think I should just leave that video up, let me know. If you think I should take it down and refilm it, let me know. With all that said, I want to prove that Sam and Gilly are doing well, and so I'm going to show you guys an enclosure tour for each of them, and I'm going to show you guys them eating their food. Plus, it's just fun to see geckos instead of me just rambling the whole time, so I hope you enjoy. So this is my darling girl Sam, and she is quite obviously one half of the Sam and Gilly duo. She is on the bottom shelf, and right now she is waiting on me to give her a dubia roach. Dubia roaches are one of the more difficult items of food for my Enigmas to grasp. They typically have an easier time with worms, especially hornworms. Superworms are typically something they have an easy time with as well. but they really do struggle when it comes to dubia roaches, but they're the healthiest food source that they can possibly have, so I obviously want to give them that anyway. So it does take her a little while to get it, but she does. And before anyone asks, obviously, yes, the dubia roach is covered in calcium. It's currently covered in calcium carbonate, which is calcium without D3. I do a rotational schedule for my dusting, so one feeding I'll do a dusting with D3, one feeding I'll do a dusting with just calcium, and then I'll do one feeding without anything at all. So this is Sam's enclosure. She has her cork bark over here that is like a primary hide. It covers a warm spot and a cool spot. I find that like with Enigmas, having multiple hides can be a little bit confusing. So having like one large general hide is something I prefer. And then she has a plant that offers like a little bit more coverage, so if she wanted to be out here, there's still a little bit less light, plus it's nice and decorative. And then she has her calcium dish, which is the little heart-shaped dish next to it. She has plants on both sides, which I was wondering if she would have a hard time with because, you know, she's an Enigma, and I thought maybe she might get caught up in them, but nope, hasn't been a problem. And then she has her humid hide, so it looks kind of small, but it's not showing the whole thing because it's only part of the view, because I wanted to make sure that you could see Sam, who's right in the center. I've also included this clip of Sam just so that I could show you guys a little bit of what her Enigma Syndrome is like. So throughout this clip, you're going to see her bob her head, so it's basically where she lifts her head up and down or side to side repetitively. You're also going to see how wobbly she is in her walking movements, and you'll also see her circle a little bit, but that will come later. I also want to address the fact that Sam and Gilly both do not have water dishes, and the reason for this is I am afraid they would drown. So none of my Enigmas have water dishes at all because of their syndrome, and it causes them to flail about, and it causes them to flip upside down, and I'm just generally afraid if I put a water bowl in there that they would end up with their face in the water and they would accidentally inhale some, you know, because they weren't intending to be in water. They're just flailing about, not realizing, you know, that their body is upside down. And so really it's just a safety precaution not to have water in there. I've done this for years without a problem. I make sure that their humid hides stay extra moist so that they can drink the little droplets off the sides and the bottom. But that's just a personal choice I've made, and I hope I explained myself well. So this is Sam's sister Gilly, and right away you can see that she's excited for food, and that causes her to spin. Her symptoms, like many Enigmas, are heightened when she is stressed or excited. And I'm also surprised she gets the dubia roach on the first try. That literally never happens, but hey, good for her. One thing that you might immediately notice about Gilly is the wrinkles down her side. She pretty much always has them when she is not at her maximum weight, which typically happens later on in the year. So when I got Gilly, she had recently dropped a bunch of weight, and then she put it back on pretty quickly, and that caused her skin to be a little bit stretchy. So she always has these little, almost look like little wings, like if she was a flying squirrel. It's just like this little bit of skin. It doesn't mean she's dehydrated, otherwise her tail would also have that wrinkly consistency, but it's just because she had dropped and gained weight so fast when I got her, and then now whenever she loses a bit of weight when she's ovulating or when she's like putting on weight throughout the year, you'll notice it. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Like I said, if she's skinnier she has it, and if she's a little bit on the thicker side she doesn't have it, but she's completely fine. There's no reason to worry about it. So this is Gilly's enclosure. It's very similar to Sam's. Here you go, honey. And that is not stuck shut on her toes. Her toes are actually just like white at the break off. So this is her humid hide. Then she has her hanging plants, which I also thought would be a problem for her, and they're not. She has this like decorative plant in the middle that was actually in their old enclosure, so I wanted to like carry it into one of their new enclosures, so I gave that one to Gilly. And then she has her calcium dish over there, and then her cork hide. Just like Sam's cork hide, it covers like a warm and a cool space, so it acts as both types of hides. I just find that that's easier with Enigmas to offer them one space that's like really big and dark so that they can feel safe in, and they can move around in that individual hide rather than have to seek out a different hide to thermoregulate. So if you're wondering why I use cork bark instead of like a resin hide, it's because when the geckos death roll or like fall on their backs and they have to reorient themselves, it's really easy for their nails to grab onto cork bark compared to resin. So that's about it for Gilly, but she's doing great. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys came to this video with an open mind, and if anyone is hurt by the fact that Sam and Gilly are no longer housed together, I am sorry. That was definitely not my intention. I just had to make the right call for them as two individual geckos and not just like this pair unit. Like, as much as it is cute to say these two geckos live together without any problem, it'd be irresponsible to say that there is no risk whatsoever, and so I just decided I'd rather be safe than sorry down the road. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns that I did not address in this video, please let me know down below and I will get back to you. Please check out the links below for social media and for merch and for Patreon and all that stuff. Sorry, I'm looking at my dog because he's being needy. He's so cute. Come here, you want to say hi to everybody? I have disappeared. Hi, BB. How you doing? Yes, you're such a good boy. We're gonna go on a walk later. Yes, we are. We're gonna go on a walk with your brother Jackson. Yes, my dog Jackson has a brother named Jackson, and they're spelled the exact same way, and no, that was not planned out. My fiance has a Rottweiler named Jackson that he has had since he was a youngin', he was like 18, and then I got Jackson a few years ago, and he was already named Jackson when I got him. So that's a fun little backstory, isn't it? High five. High five. Good boy. He does all kinds of tricks, except the best trick is how he gives me these puppy eyes. High five. Oh, you got me in the mouth with that one. High five. Come on, all the way up. What is this lazy? What is this laziness? He was looking at the camera like, bitch, you need to stop. I'm gonna go give my dog some cuddles because it's just the best thing in the world. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.